Hello to Dr. Sanchez and to my fellow leadership and team development classmates. My name is JoAnn Guillot, and this is my graduate project for the leadership and team development class. The purpose of the research project is to assess a leadership style theory and to discuss how the theory relates to team development. Introduction. The purpose of the research project is to assess a leadership style theory and how it relates to team development. The situational leadership theory has been selected as the subject of this project in order to examine the behaviors and development styles and to determine how those varying styles affect leadership and team members within an organizational environment. Research will also be provided from several well-known corporate leaders, journal articles, and scholarly studies. The hypothesis statement is that situational leadership is one of the more effective theories regarding group leadership styles and individual care. What is leadership? 6th century Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu defined leadership as the ability to hide panic from others. Today, leadership is more broadly defined as a process in which a person has the ability to influence a group of individuals to reach common goals. Defining leadership as a process indicates that a transactional event is occurring between the leader and their team members, emphasizing that the skill of leadership is available to anyone, not just those who possess specific traits. Because both the leader and their team members are part of the leadership process, it is the quality of this relationship that matters most when working towards a common goal. By paying close attention to these common goals, the opportunity for unethical behavior is lessened due to the need for leaders to work together with their team members to achieve these goals. A leader and member relationship characterized by distrust and fear will struggle to produce anything of permanent value. A mutual respect between a leader and their team members can help overcome potential performance issues and build a lasting organizational legacy. International billionaire entrepreneur Sir Richard Branson, founder of the Virgin Group, which controls more than 400 companies, has written several successful books on the importance of leadership, particularly in business. In his book, The Virgin Way, Branson discusses a rapidly spreading development in the modern definition of leadership, in that it is becoming less about power assigned to a single person or role, and more about a collective process in which the authority and power is shared by a group with a mutual interest. He believes that this collective approach allows a larger number of team members to showcase their skills, affording opportunities that may not have previously existed. Situational leadership theory. Situational leadership is a leadership approach that focuses on how to lead in specific situations. Because different situations need different types of leadership, an effective leader will be able to adapt their leadership style to best resolve each situation. Situational leadership teaches that leadership is composed of both a directive and a supportive behavior. Each behavior has to be applied properly in a particular situation. In order for a leader to determine what is needed in each situation, they must learn to evaluate their team members to assess their skills and commitment in completing specific tasks. Situational leadership skills. Successful situational leaders must possess the following 3 skills: goal matching, diagnosing, and matching. When developing the first skill of goal matching, the leader must be able to set clear goals by comparing the organizational and team goals. An alignment conversation would then occur between the leader and their team to clearly communicate these goals and corresponding performance responsibilities. Goals should then be revised based on the SMART acronym. SMART goals and tasks. The S stands for specific. Goals should state exactly what the team member is responsible for and when it needs to be completed. M stands for motivation, which is pressing the leader to create optimal conditions for employee motivation by providing interest and excitement. A stands for attainable, ensuring that the goal is reasonably able to be accomplished. R stands for relevant, determining if the goal addresses an activity that makes a difference for the organization and the individual. T stands for trackable, which determines how the task progress will be measured toward goal accomplishment. SMART goals help get leaders and team members on the same page by answering these questions. Specific. What exactly is the goal or task? When does the goal or task need to be accomplished? Motivating. Is the goal or task meaningful for the individual? Will working on this goal build competence and commitment? Will working on this goal add or drain energy? Attainable. Is the goal realistic, reasonable, and achievable? Is the goal within the individual's control? Relevant. Is the goal or task meaningful work for the organization? Is the goal or task aligned with organization and work team goals? Is the goal or task a high priority in relation to other goals? Trackable. What does a good job look like at each level of development? How will progress and results be measured and tracked? Diagnosing skill. The second skill of diagnosing involves determining an individual's development level on a specific goal. There are two factors that determine an individual's development level: competence and commitment. If an individual is not performing well without direction from their leader, it is usually a competence problem, a commitment problem, or both. Competence can be determined by demonstrated knowledge and skills, which can be gained through learning or experience. Competence can also involve transferable skills or skills that can apply to a variety of tasks. Commitment is a combination of confidence and motivation by being a measure of an individual's self-assuredness in their skills and the enthusiasm they have for the task. Since there are different combinations of competence and commitment, there are 4 development levels which encompass these combination possibilities. These 4 development levels make up the second part of the Situational Leadership 2 model. The more interest and confidence a team member has in their work, the higher development level they are at. There are 4 categories of development levels: D1, D2, D3, and D4. D1 members are generally low in competence and high in commitment, meaning that they may be new to a task, but are excited by the challenge of learning. D2 members have some competence, but are low in commitment. These members have begun the process of learning a new skill, but have lost some of the initial excitement. D3 members have a moderate to high competence level about the task, but have fluctuating commitment. These members have developed the skills needed, but are unsure if they can successfully accomplish the task. D4 members have both a high degree of competence and a high degree of commitment, making this level the highest in development. These team members have a high level of skill knowledge and are also very confident that they can successfully complete the task at hand. Research shows that skills and commitment can change over time, which is why it is important that leaders learn how to adapt their direction and supportive behaviors to meet these changes. The dynamics of the situational leadership approach are clearly defined in the Situational Leadership 2 model. The Situational Leadership 2 model is comprised of two dimensions: leadership style and development level of team members. Leadership style is made up of the behavior pattern of a person who strives to influence others by using directive and supportive behaviors. Directive behaviors. Directive behaviors influence team members to grow and develop by providing clear directions, having established goals and procedures for evaluation, communicating deadlines, defining roles, and presenting the most effective ways to achieve organizational goals. Supportive behaviors. Supportive behaviors allow team members to feel comfortable about themselves, each other, and individual situations by using two-way communication and responses that show emotional and social support to those around them. This support can be in the form of praise, sharing details, listening, and providing input. The final situational leadership skill of matching involves learning which leadership style to use based on the individual's development level. There are four distinct leadership style categories of directive and supportive behaviors. S1, which is high directive, low supportive. S2, which is high directive, high supportive. S3, which is high supportive, low directive. And S4, low supportive, low directive. S1, known as a directing style, uses leader communication to focus on goal accomplishment while spending a small amount of time focusing on supportive behaviors. Leaders provide clear instructions to their team members on the goals to be accomplished and supervise the overall progress. In the coaching style of S2, leaders focus on communicating, accomplishing goals, and meeting their team's socio-emotional needs. In order to accomplish these steps, the leader must provide encouragement and solicit input from their team members. Similar to S1, the leader is still responsible with making the final decision on what goals need to be accomplished and how to do so. The S3 style is a supporting approach that encourages the leader to use supportive behavior to further develop the appropriate skills in their team members necessary to accomplish the applicable goal. Day-to-day decisions are allowed to be made by team members, but the leader remains on hand to assist with problem solving. With the S4 style, leaders offer less input and support and delegate more responsibilities and decisions, allowing team members to accomplish tasks on their own. Literature reviews. The first literature review centers around the effects of situational leadership and employee motivation on organizational citizenship behavior, or OCB, in China. OCB refers to individual behavior that is discretionary, not directly recognized by a formal reward system, and that collectively promotes the effective functioning of the organization. Background. The goal of the study was to expand the understanding of the situational leadership theory in an emerging market in a culture different from Western countries. Methods. Researchers tested the effect of leader-follower matches of 182 supervisor and subordinate pairs on OCB in a Chinese context based on the situational leadership theory. Participants were made up of leaders and employees with varying educational levels from organizations located in the southern Pearl River Delta in China. Each leader in the pair was provided with 2 questionnaires to individually assess employee readiness and OCB of 2 subordinates. In the end, 114 leadership and 228 subordinate questionnaires were collected with a response rate of 76%. After excluding incomplete questionnaires, 91 leadership-style questionnaires were valid and 182 sets of leader-follower pairs remained as the final sample. Limitations. There are several limitations in this study. First, employee readiness was measured with the dimensions of ability and willingness. More empirical research in which the construct of employee development level is verified is needed. Second, participants were mainly from organizations in the Pearl River Delta in China, thus limiting the generalizability of the results. Conclusions. The questionnaire numerical results were matched using mean differences in 4 cluster profiles of situational leadership and employee readiness. The OCB means of each match were higher than those of the respective mismatch. Results indicated that situational leadership and employee readiness matches had a positive effect on OCB. Recommendations. Due to the influence of a high-power culture, a number of Chinese business leaders tend to adopt strict controlling behavior without effective coordination. The study results theoretically verify that a contingency perspective is necessary for leadership behavior. This philosophy helps leaders respond effectively to external environmental changes while promoting OCB in the internal organization environment. The second literature review focuses on the endorsement of a leadership approach that will change the culture of care for people living in nursing homes by developing a composite model of situational leadership in residential care. This study argues that of the many current leadership models developed for acute care settings, most do not fit with the emergent philosophy of complex nursing home care. The development of a composite model of situational leadership in residential care is used for the study to show an example of a model that tries to work with the existing knowledge base in relation to best leadership practices. The development of this model is integral to research, evaluating the role of situational leadership in facilitating culture change in long-term care facilities. Background. The endorsement of a leadership approach that will change the culture of care for older people living in nursing homes is high on the national health care agenda in several countries. A change has been called for in the culture of care, as well as a transition to a more person-focused approach, led by a transformational nurse leader. Over the past 10 years, there has been a significant change in the philosophy of long-term care for older people internationally. This change stemmed from the recognition that older people living in nursing homes were lonely, bored, and vulnerable. Several initiatives were introduced in an effort to transform the institutional and task-oriented culture of long-term care to a more person-focused culture. So far, though, there is a lack of empirical evidence in the literature to demonstrate the impact that these culture change models have had on the quality of life of older people in long-term care. Methods. The situational leader's person-focused approach of partnering the follower to improve their performance brings into play the key components of diagnosis, flexibility, and various coaching and supportive leadership behaviors. This study describes these components and discusses how the model of situational leadership in residential care can be adapted in practice through the process of partnering for performance. And there were no limitations noted with this study. Conclusions. The situational leader diagnoses the performance, competence, and commitment of the follower, is flexible in leadership style, and partners the follower for performance, taking them through the developmental levels in order to manage the care environment and deliver personal care. Recommendations. The partnering for performance process emphasizes the importance of the situational leader's role as facilitator in developing the follower and has the capacity to support the process of continuous learning within the care environment. The facilitated approach to self-reflection adopted by the situational leader enables the follower to deepen their understanding and self-awareness through reflexivity. Engagement in a critical, reflective process is fundamental to the development of a person-focused philosophy. Conclusion. The situational leadership approach teaches leaders that in order to be effective, they must learn where their team members are on the developmental continuum in order to adapt their leadership styles to match the style of each particular member development level. The first step in this process is for the leader to determine the nature of the task by asking team members specific questions about planned tasks to help correctly identify the development level of their team members. Once the development level has been determined, the next step is for the leader to adapt their leadership style to the recommended style based on the Situational Leadership 2 model. The goal of the situational leadership approach is to determine each individual team member's development level in order for the adaptation of the leadership style. However, if the leader adopts their leadership style to match the development level of the entire group, this could lead some members who need a different developmental level match to feel left out and unmotivated. Leaders who use this approach must work hard to ensure that they are adopting their style fairly and with each team member in mind. And that concludes my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and most of all, I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me on the discussion board, and I'll be happy to answer what I can. Thank you all.